Live. What is up, guys? I have a fat lip because I don't know what happened. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? Tonight we are going to discuss some things. I have Mr. Malcolm Lay here. Malcolm, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Just relaxing and chilling.
Hey, that's always a good thing, man. I just got knives out. And I think that it's very pertinent to the issue that's at hand with what was said on the Schmoedown backstage, which I found really interesting. Mike Kalinowski said a statement where he wouldn't play for Roxy if she drafted him. So that's a really big, hefty bag to unload. I know that they had their issues during like character wise, but I didn't know that they had any like personal issues going on. I don't know if that's striving it or what, but first let's take that at the base value. What do you think of that comment alone? Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, with Schmoedown backstage, I don't know if it's all going to be sort of off air things that don't be talking about. Because this is it's one. I don't know if there's any personal beef between him and Roxy personally. That could be the start of this storyline plan. For this, and Christian had the smart idea to start setting the seeds now. I don't know. Not
that could be true, and I mean it could be a whole big plot point. Um, but going forward with this, for me, I mean I understand it kind of to a point. If it's storyline, it's fine. Storyline, he really doesn't like her. He felt that she abandoned him. Um, so the other part is that he would demand a trade if she did draft him. Now this is going to be a real tricky, you know, way to traverse through everything because now we have to look at it as if players get drafted and they decide not to play on a person's team, how is that going to affect the storyline? How is that going to affect everything? Let's say somebody really doesn't get along with somebody on a personal level and they're like, no, I can't be on that team. Are they going to have to A, sit out for the entire season until they get drafted by someone because they're a free agent? Are they going to B, be able to be playing as a free agent but not get as many game time? Or C, will they just have to sit on that roster and be inactive and take up a spot? So let's go with these scenarios here and see, because the rules aren't out for this yet. They're not. They're nowhere. We don't know what the rules are. So it's kind of just going off of a whim, off of Schmoedown backstage, and taking the context that we get. Uh, Frank had posted something on the Facebook page, and it's kind of curious for me. It makes me worry a little bit that they're gonna have to stay in this faction and then cause their entire faction, no matter who it is, to lose points or lose things because they're gonna forfeit or not play or
yeah,
lose.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting because all we can do is really speculate. But and I think um because we don't really sort of know about with the whole free agency as well. Because and for, like the free agent could just be you'll get a game, and if someone likes you, they'll trade someone for you, and then so. But it's definitely going to lead to some interesting things because with Mike as hungry he is for belts as he is, do not imagine he's going to be sitting on the sidelines no matter what.
Either do I, and that was one of my points. And Frank had said something which was really interesting. I'm going to look up what he said. He said, "If you're drafted, then you are on that player's team slash fraction. Those that aren't drafted would be free agents and could be signed by any of the the 10 managers at the time, as long as they have space on their rosters." So the question then becomes, well, if he decides not, because in the NFL you can decline things. In the NBA, you can decline a team to be drafted by. Uh, in because you don't sign the contract and then you don't go into the team. Baseball, you can do the same thing. It's all the sports, and this is technically a sport. It may be a mental sport, but it's still a sport. So, are we following the guidelines by that, or are they just making the guidelines up as we go?
Um, yeah, but it, it's one of those ones that I don't know. I think they're kind of feeling it out, see, make it work from them. Um, and I mean, I think if it is going to be like the basketball, that the whole declining thing is something that is going to have to be a thing because, I mean, if we look at LeBron James, he is being courted by so many different teams, and that's when he made the whole big decision. Similar with a similar scenario in the Schmoedown would be back when Clark Wolf was originally being courted by many different things as she did the whole decision thing.
Yeah, with JCA, and it ended up being Mark Riley.
Yeah, so maybe they're setting up that we might get a similar decision thing from Mike, if depending on if many people want to draft him.
I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to draft him. The question then comes down to what order everything goes down into. And I know we're going to do a whole drafting later down the line, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes there. So I definitely want to keep on the topic. But if we're doing that, the end goal as a team, as a faction, is to get that main prize at the end of the season that Christian said. So what I don't get is, why would anybody spite draft somebody? There's no reason to, because you're doing it. I understand it could be for a trade, holding leverage over someone. But what if that person is like, no, I don't want him. You can't hold leverage over me. Here's what's going to happen. You lose enough. He loses enough, or he forfeits enough because he doesn't want to play with you. You're going to drop him. He's a free agent. I get to pick him up for free. So that's that whole mentality. Why would you do it in the first place? I couldn't get into the brain of somebody like that. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there is absolutely no reason to do that. And I mean, I think the only reason that I could see that someone would spite draft, even at the detriment of your own team, which is the other thing, is to make sure you keep one of the strong player off the board. If you know that you're not going to play if they get drafted with you, then by taking him up, you're keeping him off the board, meaning that you can pick up someone else who's maybe willing to go get the belts, and yeah.
I see that, but at the same time, it's like, all right. So, but what you're going to do is keep a player on your roster, whether you're trying to jam up somebody's team or not. Let's say somebody does it. Let's say somebody splits up the Wildberries. You got Dewberry on point. Dewberry doesn't want to be on this person's team. Not to say it's going to happen, anybody. I'm just giving you a visual mental. And then Josh McCouga doesn't get drafted. It means he's undrafted. That means he's a free agent. Are you going to keep Dewberry around to do singles? Yes, maybe. But what if he doesn't play with you? Then you have the possibility of having two free agents that somebody can be like, I'm dropping these two players, picking them up, and taking it for free. I don't have to lose any of my mainstay players, but I get to go ahead and get rid of my crappy players and put, not that anybody's crappy, I don't want to say it like that, but like less performant. They do less of a performance, and I can drop them and add, Dewberry to my team now without having to worry about it. I get what you're saying though. Like you could stall up a team, but then that's looking at, well, they're only good at teams. Maybe a person's looking for a single person. So I can see that too. It's just because we don't know the rules. We don't know how this works. Why would you say it though? That's my point. Like, I know it's got to be story wise that he said it this early, but it's like, what are you going to do then? You're just going to sit on her roster, not chase the belt until at least half the half the season's gone because willing to bet you'll stick around. Um, you'll stick around on a roster at least until March to April. You know,
Yeah.
and then somebody will drop you. Brian, I definitely get that. I was just using it as a visual, like so you could picture it. Like I could take, Dewberry and Makuga, split them up. Nobody wants to see that happen, but it could happen during this draft. And of course, we're going to go into the draft later down the line. But we wanted to talk about this topic because it's something that's really confusing. It's something that a lot of fans don't know what's going to happen because let's be honest, it's the movie Trivia Schmoedown. Anything can happen. Uh, but I only wanted to do this like 10, 15 minutes. So, Malcolm, your final thoughts on it. Like, overall, what could we see possibly happen if something like this happens?
Yeah, if something like this happens, it's going to be really interesting because it's either going to lead to we see a big decision special in which Mike announces where he's going if multiple managers want him, or we're going to see Mike sit on the bench, just being a bench warmer, and just watch as the belts change hands without him. So, which I don't see that happening, but
Me either, but yeah.
it's one that could lead to really disturbing connotations as well.
It could lead to really messed up consequences in this league if people aren't expecting this. If you're not because some people don't work well with factions. Let's be honest. So you're going to tell me that you're not going to have. Let's say Dan Murrell decides next year he doesn't want to be on a faction, doesn't want to do it, just wants to play. You're telling me that Christian's going to tell him no, he can't play, and he's got to sit or be on somebody's team. I don't think that'll happen. What I think will happen is the free agents will definitely get less matches. Any ones that are like thinking about playing, getting stuff like that. But I don't think we're going to get an issue where people just stop playing.
Yeah,
Because that's just a detriment to the game. We're hoping season 7 is going to be the thing that takes us over the threshold. Then let's not hurt ourselves while doing it.
yeah, and I mean the other one is when it comes to as well. The price of the ones that end up being free agents are the ones that we don't are the ones that may not be able to be available for much matches anyway. So we could see McCougar being free agent for a little bit,
That's true.
because he does have TV gigs. So
And that's the crazy thing. If Makuga becomes a free agent, I don't want to get into a deep. Then Dewberry's just going to do singles, I guess, because I don't think there's a team member. I don't think there's a pair of teams that are as charismatic as the Wildberries. Believe it or not, I know they sound like a frat house sometimes, but they are charismatic and people love them for a reason. But yeah, no, we'll wrap it up here. It's a one subject thing. And it's a discussion topic, so I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about it tonight after I got home from taking from Knives Out. Malcolm, where can the people find you?
and take for adapting Rankin every Sunday. This week we're doing Tom Hanks movies, so it's going to be, so you can catch it if you can. I do Full Metal Random every Tuesday. This week's X-Men, and I compete all over the place in the fan leagues.
Nice. I'm Doug Castle. Check out The Adventures of Transvaal. Mr. Malcolm Lay is on that as well. We have a lot of fun. We just posted an episode tonight. We are going to be doing it bi-weekly from now on, at least until the end of the year. It's a lot. As an editor, you learn things. But please check out the Patreon at patreon.com/The Adventures of Transvaal. Guys, you guys have a great rest of your night. It's been a discussion with Take 3. Have a good one, guys.